Hey folks, in this video I am going to replace the stock porch light on our Intech Soul Dawn camper with a new unit which I have here, and I'll go over some of the reasons why we did not like the old stock unit and why we needed to replace it. At some point lights and things on your camper are going to fail, so you can either take it to a dealer or an RV tech or figure out how to do it yourself. I like to try and do it myself before I cave in and take it to a RV repair shop, because that can be much more expensive and sort of a pain in the butt to take your camper and drop it off there. Now first off, we never really used the stock light on our Intech Soul Dawn because it was way too bright and I didn't really like hanging around the campsite with a huge bright light casting 5,000 Kelvin all over the campsite. It didn't really set up a chill environment. So in another video I had actually added this amber light tape to the light to tone it down. I'll put a link to that in the video. But the other reason we had to replace this is the stock unit does not have any plugs where the screws go to attach it to the outside of your camper, and they eventually rotted out and broke off, and this was coming off. There's actually still little pieces of plastic coming out of this. The other thing is the rubber gasket was rotting, and if you can see here, I've probably got some of that goo all over my fingers, so it was just time to do it. It took me a while to find a size that was right. I didn't want to replace it with the exact same thing. I didn't really like this sort of dark brown housing, so I kept looking around and I eventually found this white one, which sort of blended in with the exterior of our camper a little bit better. There were some things we had to do to modify this to make it work. It came with a new gasket, as you can see here, a rubber gasket. It's got plug holes to plug the holes on the housing so that water does not get in there, so I'm hoping this will last a lot longer. But the main differences in these two units is the wiring for the original light is in the center of the light itself. I've actually cut the wires off here. The leads are already gone, but it's in the center. This new light, which turned out to be the exact same size, we'll put the size here in the video, has the wire coming out here on the side, so I had to basically drill a hole in the center. And the reason I have this one here is it came with two units, so I do have a backup unit if I have to replace this again. So I had to drill a hole to line up where the center wire would come out, which was not a big deal. I attempted to find lights that were the same size, which I did find, but I could not find one that was dimmer than the original. All of the lights seem to be super bright, which is another problem I have with most RV camper lights, is they are super bright, really white light, and are blinding at the campsites. So I did the same thing with this one, where I put the amber tape on top of the lens to help diffuse that light, and once that's done, it actually diffuses that light, tones it down quite a bit, and I can actually see the stair light on my steps to the entryway to the camper, which I didn't even know was there for the longest time because the stock light was so bright. For this project, you're only going to need a few simple things. You're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver, some wire cutters, some shrink wrap, or if you prefer, you can use wire nuts, it's up to you. Some amber tape. You're going to need a drill to drill that hole. You're going to need a plastic putty knife, and the reason I needed that was to help try and pry and peel off the rotting rubber gasket of the existing stock unit. You're going to need some cleaner to clean the side of your RV, and you're going to need some RV caulk, silicone caulk, to caulk the holes for where the wire goes in and the two mounting points. All right, so here's what you get with the lights. You get double of what you see here because the kit that I bought comes with two. I'll put a link in the description below. You've got the light, the plugs for where the screws go, the screws, the lens cover, the light itself, and the rubber backing gasket. For this light, I'm also going to do the same thing I did on the original stock unit, which is put amber tape over the lens to help dim and soften the light that comes off of this so that it's essentially wildlife friendly, doesn't attract as many bugs, and doesn't blind you when you come out of the camper. I did another video on this. If you like, I'll put a link here in the video for taming the porch light, and you can check that out for more details on that. However, it's as simply as adhering the tape and removing the excess around the perimeter with an X-Acto knife. Just start by removing the existing screws on the light and carefully pulling out the wire. Our cover had already come off as the mounting points had fractured on the lens cover. I had a little bit of a hard time removing the rubber gasket as it had started to disintegrate and was real sticky and sticking to the outside shell of the RV, so that took a little bit of doing. And now, having 20/20 hindsight, it might have been a good idea to wear some gloves while doing this. I eventually pulled out a plastic putty knife to help get the parts that were sticking to the RV shell off without damaging the exterior of my camper. Then you want to break out your wire cutters and cut the wire off of the light itself, leaving as much lead as possible. I've drilled a new hole in the center, so that will line up with the hole on there. Two major things to remember here is to make sure you get that rubber gasket over your lead wires before you solder or wire nut anything, as well as getting your shrink wrap tape on the wires of your light. It's also important to clean the existing surface and get silicone in the existing holes before you screw the light to your RV. And with that, voila, we are all done. Nice and neat. If you want a piercing blinding light, just leave off that amber tape. Otherwise, this is what our light looks like with the amber tape and is much more conducive to camping. Well, I hope this has been helpful to you and has saved you some time and effort. Be sure to check the links below in the description for any items that we may have used in here. We also have a link to our spreadsheet where we have all of our gear listed, and any affiliate links help support our channel. So thanks for watching, take care, and happy camping.